Hi guys! Welcome to another episode of The Beautiful You Show. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite... My hand looks so big. My top 5 favorite podcasts. So let's just jump right in. Sorry, I have a light here because it's late at night and it's so dark. And I couldn't find any other lighting, so I have a little flashlight that's shining on me. Okay, the first one I'm going to start with is Supersoul Sunday. Okay, of course. So Supersoul Sunday, Supersoul Conversations on Owen. This podcast is, I don't know, it just feels like food for the soul. And so I don't have cable at my house. We have Hulu and we have Netflix. So I don't get to watch cable television anymore. And I was so excited when Oprah decided to turn all her interviews from Supersoul Sunday into podcasts. And so I get to listen to it. I try to listen to it at least once a week. I think it comes out every single Sunday, a new podcast. And one of my favorites is the podcast with Michael Bernard Beckwith. He is the founder of the Agape Church in LA. And that one talks about manifesting the things that you want and how we can sometimes block that. So that is a really good podcast interview she had. She has tons of people on there. India Irene, Maria Shriver, Jimmy Carter, Pema Chodron. She had Yanla Van Zant, Maya Angelou, Tom Brady. So she has Dwayne Johnson, so The Rock. So she has a variety of people from all different backgrounds. And so Supersoul Sunday, that is one of my favorite podcasts. The second one that I like, and these are in no particular order. I swear it just, there's some days where I gravitate towards a different podcast, but they all are really good. So the second one that I have is Don't Keep Your Day Job, and it is hosted by Cathy Heller. And so how I came upon this podcast was I was looking for interviews with the author Jen Sincero. She wrote You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. And so I had heard her on a couple podcasts, and then I found this podcast, and it was amazing. It just feels like it is a therapy session, an inspirational session, and an interview all in one. Like you come away feeling as if you know the person that's being interviewed a little bit better beyond what they are talking about. And you also feel like it extends the lesson to where it's applicable to things that you're experiencing in your own life, and super inspiring. So that's number 2. I think that podcast, Don't Keep Your Day Job, comes out every Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And that one has had like a bunch of different people. She has authors, actors, actresses, millionaires, sports people. One of my favorite interviews, other than the one she did with Jen Sincero, is the one with Martha Beck. That was a really good one. And then I think there's another one she did with Lewis. I think his name is Lewis Holmes or Hose. That one was also really good. So the second one, Don't Keep Your Day Job, Cathy Heller. Another one that I really enjoy is called She Did It Her Way, and this one is hosted by Amanda Boleyn. That podcast is the same. It's inspirational, it's uplifting, it speaks to anybody that is wanting to be an entrepreneur, especially if you are a female. She has a lot of female guests. And then last week I shared my top 5 Instagrammers, and that it was on that podcast that I heard it's Vivian K, the founder of Kinky Curly Yaki. So I have listened to a ton of these podcasts. I think I was all up to date up until like maybe a couple weeks ago. But she did it her way. Is really good for the female entrepreneurial spirit. The next podcast, so number 4, is let me just put that. Do It Scared. Let me see. Okay, Do It Scared with Ruth Soukup. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Soukup, or I think it's Soukup. So that one is a fairly recent podcast that I recently subscribed to and recently started listening to. I also heard her on the Cathy Heller Don't Keep Your Day Job podcast. I just absolutely love her story. She went from being suicidal, actually, I think she was declared dead for a few minutes, brought back to life, and she went from being intensely suicidal to a millionaire. And so she started a blog. It's called Living Well, Spending Less. She started a blog academy. She also has a planner, Living Well Planner. She does this podcast, and I think there's something else I might have missed. But her podcast is so good. Do It Scared is what she considers her mantra or her motto, in the sense where she still has fear with a lot of the things that she does, but she does it scared anyway. It's really inspiring. It's uplifting. She doesn't share her story of where she came from, just where she is presently. And I like that because it shows you that you can overcome anything if you choose to, if you put in the work, if you're focused, if you have a good support system, you can come back from anything. And so Do It Scared, that's number 4. Number 5 is Side Hustle School with Chris Guillebeau. And so Chris Guillebeau, he has written, I think it's called Side Hustle, his book. I only partially read it. I'm hoping to actually read it again and finish it. The reason I like his podcast is really short. All the other podcasts I listen to, they're 30 minutes or more. His podcast is between 5 to like 15 minutes. And all he does is talk to you about people that are making money in their side hustle. I think he has one requirement, and that is that they have to make more than $500 a month doing their side hustle. But he has real short, quick, inspirational stories of the company, who they are. He's not interviewing the people, but I think he interviews them prior to the show or researches them. And then he shares with you what they're doing, how they started, where they're at, what they had to overcome. And so I like his podcast because it's quick, it's fast. It opens your eyes to other streams of income that you could possibly be doing. There was this one guy, he was on there, and all he ate for a year, I think, was potatoes. And he lost 112 pounds in the process. And he recorded it on YouTube videos, and then he started a side hustle, I think, telling other people how to live off of potatoes, and that was his side hustle. He became successful doing it. So Chris Guillebeau, Side Hustle School. There's also another podcast, I think it's called Side Hustle. That one is also good. I listened to that a couple times, and that one is good. I just like Chris's one. His approach is really matter of fact and practical, and his stories are short, and I like that. It just goes from one story to the next. And I think he's up to 500 episodes. I think he does I think he does a podcast every single day. So that is number 5. And let me just share with you my honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention, and the reason this one is an honorable mention is because there aren't any recent episodes. I think this one was a year and a half or 2 years ago, and it is Magic Lessons with Elizabeth Gilbert. Just in case you aren't familiar with who Elizabeth Gilbert is, she wrote the huge, phenomenal sensation Eat, Pray, Love. She's an author, now a speaker. Her podcast is awesome for anybody that is wanting to follow a dream and feeling discouraged. So her podcast, she has people write into her, then she interviews the person, talks to them, and then she has an expert come on. So one of my favorite episodes is with she had Martha Beck, and Martha Beck, I think I said it earlier, was also on Cathy Heller's podcast. She's just phenomenal. Martha Beck is a life coach. She's written several books. She's an amazing speaker. So she had Martha Beck on there, and it's such a great episode. She also had, I don't know if you're familiar with the Instagram Humans of New York. That is a great Instagram page. She also had him on there, and he's also now a successful author. He just started from interviewing everyday people on the street. So Magic Lessons, that's one of my honorable mentions. Another honorable mention, I'm going to try and go through them quickly. Oops, I don't know if you can see it. There we go. She Means Business with Carrie Green. Another reason, same reason she's an honorable mention. I don't think she has any recent podcasts, but if you're a female entrepreneur looking for inspiration, looking for guidance, looking for tips, her podcast is really amazing. And since we are on that entrepreneurial tip, let's go to Amy Porterfield, Online Marketing Made Easy. She is another great podcast that I like. I feel like you could go A to Z in having a business by listening to her podcast. And she has great tools, great freebies. So if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, I would highly recommend listening to that one. Another one I love, which is Your Kick-Ass Life with Andrea Owen. She has all kinds of people on there. She's really good. Same type of woman empowerment, and she talks about her own issues with overcoming. I think she overcame anorexia and addiction. I think alcohol addiction, but she talks candidly about it, so it's very inspiring. Another one in the female entrepreneurial spirit, Jenna Kutcher and her Gold Digger podcast. I am not too sure why they are showing up blurry. But again, if you want great tips, you want inspirational stories, you want to know where to start, where to go for being a female entrepreneur, her show is amazing. Another one, Profit First with Michalowicz. He tells you about paying yourself first as an entrepreneur. He is really good in that he has different business owners come on and they share with you their story, how they're doing with business. He also has a book. It's called Profit First. It talks to you about creating different accounts so that you can have a business account, an expenditure account to pay your taxes, those different kinds of things. His book is really good. I really enjoyed his book. I'm going to have to read it again as I get closer to creating my own business. And last honorable mention, Mr. Dave Ramsey. So I love listening to his show. He gives you really easy, practical financial tips. He kind of is straightforward, straight up. Don't spend the money you don't have, and the money you do have, work on saving it. What else? He gives you the 10 tips. Baby step, I think it's baby step 1 through 6. I could be wrong. But he also sometimes has different guests. He has people call in every day and they ask him questions, and he just answers the questions about his advice. He has different entrepreneurs come on. He has authors. He has speakers. He has people come on and do their debt-free scream. He makes getting out of debt really easy, really manageable. You start with your lowest debt, and as you start building momentum, you work up towards your biggest debt. So those are my top 5 podcasts and my honorable mentions. Hopefully you can check them out. If you have an iPhone, it is this icon. Oh gosh, blurry. Looks better sideways. So it's this purple icon right here. Everybody has it. Every iPhone, iPad has the icon, and you can just go and subscribe to different podcasts. You can type in the subject, type in a person, search for a person, search for a subject, and different podcasts will pop up that has that subject or that person. And you could subscribe. You don't have to subscribe. You could listen first. But I love podcasts. They're a great resource. I almost listen to podcasts more than I watch TV. Actually, that's true. I listen to podcasts more than I watch TV. I'm almost listening to one every single day. But I love them. They're inspiring. They keep me motivated. And yeah, so I encourage you to check it out. Just a reminder, beauty is all around you. And when I say that, I don't mean physical appearance beauty. I mean that if you look for those times, like a beautiful sunset, or someone showing someone else kindness, or something that made you smile, that's beauty. So if you can recognize that, just to give you a little positivity during your day. But thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you next week. And if you have any questions, comment and subscribe. I would be happy to answer them for you. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.